Hi, and welcome to Meet the Mayor. This is Larry Petraccaro, and I'm pleased to have our mayor with us tonight, the mayor of Maplewood, New Jersey, Mayor Frank McGehee. And we're going to get a little bit of an idea of the state of the town, some of the things that have happened. But I thought we'd start with a little bit of a coronavirus update, if we may, Frank. The number of cases, number of deaths, some of the sadder information, maybe some of the better information, the trend that you see where we're going. And if you would, I know early on you did quite a good job trying to keep the township appraised of the different statistics and what was happening. So maybe after you go over a little bit of the current situation with the coronavirus, you could give us an idea of how you tried to keep the town informed. Okay.
Sounds good, Larry, and good evening to you. It's I miss you. I look forward to getting back into the studio and sitting on that couch with you and seeing Dustin and Ben and the whole crew, and looking forward to that. But for now, as we continue to fight this pandemic, we have learned to embrace the world of virtual interaction and meetings. And so with that, we are currently, from a statistic perspective, we have, as of here, the end of February, we have 1,073 confirmed cases of COVID. And unfortunately, we've lost 33 lives in the township of Maplewood. When we hit the 1,000 person mark of confirmed cases earlier this month, it was telling, because basically our population sits between 25 to 26,000 people. So we knew basically that, 1 out of every 25 people, had officially contracted COVID. And that's, it's 4%. That's telling. It's a lot. In terms of, where we are, we have a great health department led by Candace Davenport and her team. And we've been able to really focus on finding ways to help mitigate it. And I really want to, salute our residents, for their diligence and their understanding, especially these days, about the importance of wearing a mask or even two, and the social distancing factor. It's really helped us really curve what's happened, throughout the country with the pandemic. Vaccinations are underway, as you know. It's really a game of supply and demand. Maplewood, because of just understanding the importance of getting vaccinated, I just want to quickly say to our residents of color that this is really an important thing to do. The statistics have shown that in the state of New Jersey, that only 5% of African Americans or Black Americans have been vaccinated. Only 6% of Latin Americans or Latinx have been vaccinated. However, those impacted and also killed by COVID are in the high double digits of that same population, includes myself. I am waiting patiently, and I mean waiting to have the vaccine. As soon as they call my name, I'm going to run over to the Livingston Mall, the Sears building, and get injected and inoculated. And if you have that opportunity to do it now because you have preconditions, you're over 65 years of age, you are a first responder, be it in Maplewood or some other municipality, get vaccinated now. But the vaccine itself, it's coming around, and as we get more supply, and I think Essex County's done a phenomenal job of leading the way in the state of New Jersey with the process, more and more residents are getting vaccinated. We have more residents vaccinated in Maplewood than several towns combined, but we're still, we still have a ways to go. And testing, we've been offering testing throughout last year, and this year through working with the county, there's still testing available. So, I just ask that our residents, continue to be diligent and abide by, the rules to combat COVID, because it's one of those things where, like, it doesn't happen to me and or it's not happening to me or my family. So it feels like kind of this myth, but having known people who have, contracted COVID, having friends who've lost family members, dear friends of mine, having to speak with them about that, having to speak with the families of our town that have lost loved ones to COVID, it's real and it's no joke. And when it does, if it doesn't, heaven forbid, let's hope it doesn't, when it does impact you or your family or comes into your household, it's scary. So this is nothing to play around with. We're almost there. Be diligent, continue to practice social distancing and wear your mask. outside. Stay out of indoor if you can, away from indoor situations, and get vaccinated.
Obviously, good advice. Thank you for that, Frank. Just to add my own personal experience, I did have the opportunity, I guess because of my age, to get vaccinated up at the Livingston Mall, and I have to compliment the county on how they handled it. It was so well organized. So it really was, and I agree with you completely. I have a cousin who said he got what he considered, or the doctor considered, a mild case of COVID. At least that's what he was told. And he said it knocked him off his feet for like a week. So even a mild case, he said, you're lucky you didn't have a hard case, a difficult case. So that's so good advice. So those of you out there listening to Mayor McGehee, please get vaccinated when you can. Can we talk a little bit about maybe the census? I mean, I was thinking of some of the things that were important this year. One was COVID, and that coincided the 2020 with the 10-year census. Whether we've had any unofficial or official results, but also, Frank, the importance of the census. I'm not sure everybody really understands, the criticality of it and what it means for us as a state, as a municipality.
Yeah, Larry, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think with COVID being really such the story of 2020, that a lot of key initiatives kind of got lost in the way a little bit here. And one is the census. We first started planning for the census in 2019 with our steering committee. We were really looking for a robust turnout and really to push those numbers. And I'll tell you why, because everyone has to be counted, because this has a direct impact and correlation on dollars, federal dollars that are provided to our community. If you basically are underrepresented or undercounted, you get less money. So just right there alone, just knowing how important it is when you have nearly a $50 million operating budget in the township of Maplewood, every dollar counts. And so that was a big part for us. And also in terms of how you're represented in Congress. These numbers help in terms of districting our respective congressional map. Not just as a state, because if our numbers are lower, we lose a seat, but just also where we lie in terms of when they kind of map out the districts. So so at the end of the day, we had to pivot to find a way to maintain or increase our numbers of responses. We were at about 74.6%. I believe that's what we were in 2010. So there were some initiatives we did. We had some funding from the county, so we did a targeted direct mail pieces in the areas where we saw low turnout historically. And just for a little clarification, the township of Maplewood is divided into 6 what they call TACs. And so certain areas, certain TACs in our community, well, not only were they phenomenal, but one TAC in particular in the Midland area was the highest ranking TAC in all of Essex County in terms of response rate, in the high 90s. Unbelievable, and a shout out to them. And then there were other areas that were, hovering around 50 to 60%. And so those are the areas where we leveraged the funding provided, did targeted direct mail pieces to drive residents to fulfill the census. And there were many ways you could do it. You could do it online. You could do it, tangibly with the, tangibly in the mail. And we also, really, even before COVID really picked up, we did we went to various community or neighborhood associations and did a presentation with the help of the census team about how you fill out your census. So in the end, we ended up going about 0.2% higher than we did in 2010. So I am happy in the end that we were able to hit those numbers. Obviously, the more the better. But I think collectively Maplewood did a great job of representing and being counted.
Well, when the government gets the numbers, you were looking at, let's say, some places that were close to 90%, I guess, of the households or the addresses. I don't know exactly how you come up with that statistic, but does the federal government make any kind of adjustments, or is it just the raw numbers and the raw numbers is it?
To my understanding, I know they do some type of assessment. To what degree that they move the percentage, I'm not sure. But they do some validation of the numbers that are collected, be it traditionally through the mail, and I think now through online. So there could be some fluctuation, percentage of error, but for the most part, the numbers that we do provide through the efforts of our residents are kind of where we end up from a final count perspective.
Okay. Well, you mentioned one of the values of the census and an accurate census is the amount of federal aid or money that we get. So speaking of money, I guess we get most of our money from taxes. Where do our taxes go? The taxes that you collect, and how much of the taxes that you collect from us do you actually get to keep? And where does the rest of it go?
Me, I keep nothing. But no, Larry, I think, there's a lot of information that, that can be provided here to address when it comes to taxes. So your tax bill that you receive or any resident or household receive, the way it's broken out is 58% of that tax bill is for our school district. The remaining 42% of that remaining 42%, we, the Township of Maplewood, take anywhere from 24 to 25%. I round it up and just say it's a quarter of your dollar. So for every dollar you pay in taxes, the Township of Maplewood takes a quarter. And so within that quarter that you provide us, it really all goes down to two core segments, if you will. Salary and wages, because you need people to operate the town, police, fire, public works, health, recreation, finance, code enforcement. And then the second part is operating expenses. That could be anything from, tangible, products that are used to do the operations. It could be software. It could be tools that are needed to do the respective jobs. It could be utilities in terms of just the data operations that you need. The bulk of our budget aligns with the big three. We call it the big three, which is police, fire, and public works. And those, those salary wages, because we have a robust, we have 63 police individuals, officers, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, chiefs, deputy chiefs. But we also have other staff members, dispatchers, and other people who work as part of that collective team. Firefighters, we have 42 firefighters, in terms of we have the full table, in terms of 4 shifts. So there are a lot of people, and public works is 30 people as well. So, right there alone, as well of 100 people that the Township of Maplewood, employs. And that's just, talking about, those 3 departments alone.
Yeah, no, I know there's, it's always nice to see the people. We have the 2 fire stations. It's just nice to see the experiences that I've had personally when interacting with the public officials has always been a positive one. I think we're going to have to take a break, Frank, if we may, and we'll come back in a minute, and maybe we'll kind of switch gears a little bit. I'd like to talk about some of the work you've been doing with reading, so which was something that maybe people aren't aware of. So if you'll stay with us, we'll be back in a minute.
Chef Patty here. Why should you include avocados as part of your family's balanced diet? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Number 1.
Avocados fill you up.
Avocados contain unsaturated fats, good fats your body needs to help with the absorption of key nutrients.
Me hungry right now.
Number 2.
Avocados are good for you.
Avocados are naturally cholesterol and sodium free, plus they contain nearly 20 vitamins and nutrients.
Me need vitamins and nutrients. And number 3, avocado delicious.
Try avocados in place of ingredients higher in saturated fat. Avocados taste great in sandwiches, salads, and even in baked goods like cookies.
Avocado cookies. Greatest match made in heaven. No,
welcome back to Meet the Mayor. We're here with Mayor McGehee. And we've talked a little bit about the census, about taxes, and about the COVID situation in the first half of the show. But one of the things that I found out just recently, I mean, when I say recently, I mean like about 45 minutes ago, was that Frank has been doing readings for Black History Month for several years. And if you would, I'd like to know what got you started on this, the kind of reception, where you've done it, and some of the books you've read, and why you think those may be important. Because I'd really like to hear about that.
Sure, Larry. And yeah, it's thanks for bringing it up, because, I enjoy reading. These days, I unfortunately, I don't read as much for pleasure as I used to. Now I read a lot of ordinances and emails and town related information. And then I have to read a lot of emails for my day job, my work. But, one thing I always tried to do when I was commuting to the city was read a book versus, looking at my phone, because that, 45 minutes, half an hour each way is a good hour of reading time. And you can really, the lost art of enjoying a book. And I always enjoy going to Words and in Jonah and in that team, and they do just a great job. So a lot of times for the holidays, I get a book or two. And then when we are fortunate to get an opportunity to go away in August, I try to kill a book or finish a book, I should say. But, when, 4 years ago, when I wanted to find a way to contribute to our Black History Month program, I thought about book clubs and reading, and how when you read, you can kind of read and reflect and provide everybody with an opportunity to have a discussion, a dialogue. That may not be necessarily kumbaya, but at least it's an opportunity to talk about things. And so that, coupled with Black History Month, I always try to find books that were compelling and would strike conversation. And so I've done 5 books, I think, in the last 4 years. I did The Hate U Give, which really focuses on, the interaction of our youth, our Black youth, with police, so for restorative justice / just the conflict or the complexity of what happens in those type of moments. I've done The Warmth of Other People's Sun, which is a great book by Isabel Wilkerson that talks about the Great Migration of Black Americans to the North, seeking opportunity and leaving the Jim Crow years and times in the South. My family was a big part of that. They came up from Mississippi and Alabama, respectfully, to Chicago, and and seeking opportunity or freedoms that were not allowed down south. I've read The Nickel Boys by Colston Whitehead, and and I think you read that book too, Larry. I read that book. Fictional,
powerful book.
Just a beautiful book, but talked about incarceration and how the system is designed to really imprison and take away the lives of young Black men and youth, and what happens when you're not given just natural human rights and how you evolve. And it's a great read. I'll just leave it at that. So there's a plethora of books that I've had the opportunity to read and share and learn from other residents who have been part of this program. The last couple of years, I've done it at the Hilton Library branch. And before that, we kind of did a road show. I was at Express Yourselves, a phenomenal Black-owned, women-owned business on Springfield Avenue. And I've also done it over at Village Coffee as well, which is Kate's a great owner and great friend who, provided the space. So, for me, the books are important, especially around Black History Month. I say Black History always, because, when you think about this 13% of our population, how, we played such an instrumental role in everything that the United States represents today, the good and the bad. Wars were based on Black Americans, and and just in terms of culture and politics and music and science, so many factors. But it's just a great way to provide people with a vessel to learn, and then to learn more by listening to others.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And you're right. History is, at least I've always found history to be one of those things that when you taught it as a kid, or coming up through elementary and high school, it always struck me it's very different than when you start to dig into it and read and find out. You go to other sources, if you will. Like, for example, there's been a lot of talk now, and I guess in conjunction with Black History Month, about the era of Reconstruction, post-Civil War era of Reconstruction, with the election of Rutherford B. Hayes, and how basically the Republican and Democratic Party have shifted their roles with respect to civil rights and so forth. And it's a period of history that I know so little about, and it's among many other periods of history I know so little about, but it just heightens the opportunity to understand things better, the way we formed and our formation as a country, and how do we get to where we are today. So, I commend you for that. Are you doing any more readings this year, or are we?
I am, Larry. Actually, I have a reading on Thursday evening. I'm doing another book by Isabel Washington called Caste, which is really a phenomenal read. The caste system, it exists today in America, and it also exists today in India. And the third place that existed for a finite amount of time was in Germany, based off of Nazi rule. And so the book really goes and shows how the overarching system of caste, and these three cultures, present and past, all intertwine and have a lot of similarities in terms of caste, and how each one built off each other, right? The caste that was in India was the original caste, and then of course in Germany, that caste, and a lot of how that caste evolved came from almost studying what happened in the caste in India, and how it eventually got applied to the United States, and how it exists today, from everything from color of skin, sex, and other factors, wealth, race, obviously. Yeah. So it's a fascinating. I found it to be a fascinating read, and it shows how in our society and culture these things happen all the time. We just don't realize that they're happening because they're embedded in our culture, and so that's something that we need to continue to work hard to address.
You mentioned Jim Crow and the Jim Crow laws in the South when you were talking about the warmth of other suns. And something I just learned fairly recently was that Germany, and you mentioned Germany, that when Hitler was looking for ways to impose restrictions on the Jewish population, and he looked to the United States and how it treated its African American citizens in the South, and modeled some of his laws on that. So it's funny how history gets intertwined, but anyway, I think that's a wonderful thing. And what I've heard about caste, I'm anxious to read it myself. So maybe we'll move from caste to business. I mean, I don't know if there's any real connection, but we'll just make that leap. How have things been going on in the business community in town?
Well, it's great that you asked that, because I think there's no question that, that there's been a little bit of, concern, how have businesses been able to survive, under COVID pandemic. And, I'm happy to say that, we've been, knock on wood, for the most part, businesses have been doing okay. Not necessarily all have been doing great, and we have lost a few businesses along the way. But we've had businesses have quite a resurgence in many ways. And it really goes, the tribute really goes to the residents who really embrace the concept of shop local, and finding ways to support our small businesses. Because honestly, a year ago, it was very tough, and it's still tough, just trying to find, loans, be government backed or others ways to pay payroll and cash flow, and, finding ways to distribute your product or your service. Difficult, very difficult. But for the most part, as the governor reopened things slowly, but smartly, if you will, businesses have been able to survive. Some businesses that never did takeout before found the power of takeout on the restaurant side. So like a Lorena's, never did takeout before, had a booming takeout business. Other businesses who never leveraged the internet and the ability of a website, did that and found great sales on that. Virtual classes, people who never thought they'd be training people online through Zoom and other platforms have been doing that. And then in general, we have investors, developers that are looking to do a lot of great things in Maplewood. We have a mixed development coming on Irvington Avenue, which is going to have a pizza place on the first floor. The county's invested $1.3 million on Irvington Avenue for street calming and streetscaping and other initiatives, lighting, beautification in terms of green and flowers and other more environmental friendly initiatives. It's going to be the most beautiful paved street in all of Maplewood when it's all said and done, honestly. And even in that area as well, a residential building will go up. I'm very, very, very bullish on Irvington Avenue. I think that's our next frontier, our next city, even if you will.
Good.
And Springfield Avenue has been amazing as well. We've had some businesses open up. Our tattoo parlor opened up this summer. We had a orthodontist open up this summer. We've had Remerge, a wonderful home accessory place open up. Those know we have, an alternative treatment center for cannabis that's be opening up in April. One of the few in the state, state-of-the-art, phenomenal facility that'll be opening up on Springfield Avenue. We've had, even with the great loss of Danny Ives, the bike shed still is going well. We have a beautiful Middle Eastern business that provides Middle Eastern clothing that's opened up on Springfield Avenue, who actually had a huge online business, one of the biggest in New Jersey, if not the Northeast, and just want to have a brick and mortar location and beautiful inside and is doing phenomenal. We had another bike shop, Urban Cycling, open up on Springfield Avenue as well. Go on and on. It's even under COVID, it's great to see, new businesses and businesses, surviving. And then in the village, we've taken a couple of hits, if you will, with the loss of Kings. That was an asset management deal that in the end, Kings and another one of the branches was collateral, damage, if you want to call it that. But that being said, though, I'm very excited about the prospects that lay ahead for that particular piece of property. There's some people that are interested and are moving forward with some plans there, and they're local. And the same with the movie theater. The movie theater, as you know, we lost the movie theater in terms of operationally. Very difficult. That's one business, very difficult to survive, under COVID. So I think that was the catalyst for the theater. Yeah. But we got some local investors who are keen on making that not just a movie theater, but a destination location, and working closely with ownership there. And I'm very excited. I can't wait for, that project to see greater light and then coming on the other side of COVID. So I'm very, I'm very, very bullish on where we are with our businesses across our SIDS, our business footprints. Ridgewood Row, another great location.
Well, that's
You know,
Great.
so I go on and on. Got me talking about business.
Well, you could go on and on, but I think we're out of time.
Oh my goodness, I wasn't even paying attention.
And I would love to know more about Kings and about the movie theater and about the real estate market, but perhaps we can save that for another time, Frank. So
yeah, that sounds good. And I'll let you go. I just wanted to really quickly say that when I mentioned the book reading, I meant to say it wasn't Express Yourself. They had a Black History event this morning. I'm thinking about Cordially Yours, which is right next door to Express Yourself. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record. So,
okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll have to do this again. Thank you, Frank.
Larry,
and thank you for joining us on Meet the Mayor.